Hi guys, well this is the last stream of this year and this is the first year we've done this type of thing, so welcome, thank you for staying with us. We're going to make this an up close and personal stream tonight. It's a bit more complicated because it's only Lawrie and I tonight, and I've got two screens in front of me. I'm determined not to let Lawrie speak too much because you know he's like, he hogs the limelight. As I get older he just wheedles in, he wants to go for the alpha male. And there's going to be a fight. There will be a fight to the death, and it will probably be mine. But never mind. So I'm looking at the camera here, but I'm also watching the screen there. So if my eyes go off center, I'm not looking straight at you, I apologise. It's been an interesting year, shall we say that? It's been the annus, I've got to say this carefully now, annus horribilicus covidicus year for us, as it has for everybody in the world. So to all of you going through all this, to anybody who's had loved ones who have caught it, our heartfelt feelings go out towards you. It's been tough, and it's going to probably be tough for some months to come yet, so hang with it guys. I think Wildlife Aid has been beyond amazing. Alice, who's actually ill at the moment, so Alice, if you are watching, please get better soon, but don't come back until you are. She's held it all together. We didn't falter from even when COVID was mentioned until now. We haven't closed the doors, we've been out doing everything we do, so it's been a tremendous year, and Alice sort of does it all. If she wasn't here I'd be swearing at everybody doing everything because it wouldn't happen, but it just sort of happens behind the scenes and she just sort of gets on and does it. So
by the time we had the first lockdown she'd already organised exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
As soon as we'd heard it announced, it was all sorted.
It was all there. Scary. Alice can be very scary guys, so if you ever meet Alice in the flesh, be very, very wary because she can sometimes fly and then you hide under your desk. But no, it's been a manic year. It's been busy. It's been the busiest year for us for a long time. We've had more patients than ever before, I think, and we've been out more. People still bringing things in, so that's great. Yeah, it's been a trial, but we've gone through it. We haven't stopped what we're doing. The volunteers have been amazing. When we have had volunteers who can't come in because they're having to shield or they're too worried about it, we've had other volunteers stepped up to the mark. So I'd love to run through all our 370 plus volunteers and say thank you to them. Please just take this as a big open thank you to you all, because that's why Wildlife Aid works. And I must give a big thanks to Lawrie, who's been my rock really. Don't get emotional at anything, I'm getting wet and pathetic. He does what he does. He does the rescues I can't do. He takes a lot of abuse from me. But we're still together at the moment. Not together in the biblical sense.
That sounds like a breakup, Simon.
Yeah, that was a bit of a breakup. Yeah, this is the breakup. This is the live breakup, Lawrie. This is where it's all going to go wrong.
Don't do it.
To Lawrie, huge thanks. And we want to keep this last one a bit uptight and personal. We want to keep it off all the normal things. What's your favourite rescue? What's your favourite this and that? Ask us questions. I've got a screen in front of me which I should keep glancing at. Laurie's got the Facebook screen in front of him, so just bring your questions, but let's have some sort of more personal questions, and if they're very nasty, very rude, I shall just blush and not answer them and pass you straight to Lawrie. So quite easy for us. It's very hard for me to look at the screen and also look at the questions. So there we are. We've got Lucy Kells. She is still alive. She hasn't come down and seen us as she promised, because she's somewhere up in Norfolk.
There's been a bit of a pandemic issue.
Is there really?
You might not have noticed.
Anything going on? You know, I live in my own little world. I live in my own little bubble. It's a bubble made for one, guys. So I don't know if we've seen any questions. So everybody's saying get well, Lucy. We say it from us again as well. And to, as I say again, to all the team, to the vets, the vet nurses, to Maru. It's been tough, but we've gone through it, I hope, quite well. We had some interesting rescues. I've got to ask you, Lawrie, what's your favourite rescue? Not your favourite, your most memorable rescue of the year?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's been an interesting year. Sort of the start of it and the end of it has had some really unique and different ones. Certainly the ones that stand out to me are, of course, Maru diving into a river after a gosling. That
well, you dived in as well.
Yeah, I dived in because I felt bad that Maru had dived in. We were trying to, so a bit of a backstory to this. We were trying to get it with a net, for a long time and doing everything we could to avoid having to go in that water because it was very, very cold, not the warmest of days, and we were doing everything we possibly could to try and get it from the bank. Maru came along. Her first comment was, "Why don't you just go in the water?" And within 5 minutes, she'd taken her shoes off and was swimming after this gosling. So at that point, we had no excuse not to go in as well.
Well, I did. You see, I saw 2 people in the water, and I always thought that 3 is a crowd. 3 is definitely a crowd, so I thought I'd let them do it. So, no, that was an interesting rescue. I think the most scary rescue for me has probably been... What's the most scary rescue we've done this year?
I don't know, that 21st story
fox, that was scary.
Probably.
That was scary.
So, certainly, in terms of the one that's made my heart go as much as possible, that one was mine.
It always
Seeing
amazes
it jump
me,
up on
really.
the edge wasn't fun.
Amazes me really, because that to us, to Lawrie and I, was the most difficult rescue we did, because you couldn't afford to get it wrong, and yet it didn't get the views that other rescues have got. It always amazes me what gets to views and what doesn't. But stay with us. Tell all your friends to come online. We're going to try something tonight, maybe in a few minutes. We've got Sven, who's given us so much money. He's already given us €100. I do notice, Sven, that it's down from €200 of last week. But you know, who's
You're
thinking
never
about
happy,
this?
are you?
No, never happy. But Sven's been one of our followers. I'm going to ask him some up close and personal questions later on. I'm going to ring him. If it doesn't work, just everybody tell me. But we're going to try and go live with him on a line where I'm just listening to him coming on to me. I wish I hadn't said that, Lawrie, really.
That came out
really
wrong.
Yeah, it came out very wrong. Sven,
it's now written
panic.
in ink on the internet.
Don't panic, Sven. It's not like that at all. Have you seen any questions, Lawrie, at the moment? Because actually it's all flicking past me too quickly to look at the screen and look at the questions. Are you picking up any that have come in yet?
There's a few questions. Just one of interest, actually. Wildlife Rescue, who I believe are Oxfordshire Wildlife Rescue, so hello to you. I've put, "Hi Simon Lawrie, we've had to rescue a poor fox with a gin trap clamped onto her front leg. Unfortunately, her injuries proved too much, and our vet decided it was the kindest thing to put her to sleep." Actually, that is something that we had here several years ago.
No, you're just bragging now, Lawrie, aren't you? You said we did it
but
first, guys.
I'm surprised that it's happened again. So, for those of you who don't know, gin traps have been illegal in the UK since about 1984, I think. They're effectively bear traps, but they don't have a gap in between the jaws. They close completely. And the foxes that we've seen with them, their legs are just horrible. So I am really quite appalled to hear that someone is doing that again.
Well, you've got gin traps, which are illegal. You've got fen traps, which ridiculously are not illegal.
No.
Fen traps are designed to go into certain circumstances. They're not supposed to be out, but you know they should only catch rabbits. That's what they're designed for. But people put them on top of poles so they catch birds of prey.
They catch otters with them as well, which is completely illegal.
Put them in the most absurd places. I mean, all traps like that should be banned. We will continue to sort of try to get the word out that these sort of things should be banned. And I just noticed a question just now, you know, what's your hope for 2021? My hope for 2021 in a way would be that no patients come in because they're all fine and not in trouble. Sadly, I don't think it's going to happen that quickly, but it would be great the day we had to close the centre because no animals came into us because they were all absolutely fine. With mankind on this planet, sadly, it's not likely to be the case in my lifetime or even Laurie's lifetime. So, you know, we will be here for the animals. I would obviously like to go forward with the new Wildlife Aid Centre. Work has started on that. We've actually built some of the road works. We've lifted some of the driveway down. As soon as Christmas is over, as soon as we start next week, we'll be digging all the trenches for all the pipe work, for all the services to go down, the power, all the sorts of stuff that happens down there. So that has started, and you know it's a big, massive project, guys. It's £6.5 million worth. I'm told it's 10 million. I believe with a bit of me bullying everybody to death, we can get it built for £6.5 million. But if you know anyone who can help, if you know any high net worth individuals or any corporates who might be interested, just ask them to give me a call. I'd love to talk to them about it. I'd love to get their help, and I'd just like to pick their brains because they might know of a way of raising the money for this that I don't. So this is my dream. I'd like to try and do it before I die. Laurie's already started building my coffin, which worries me hugely. You know, he's been out there with his woodworking skills, so you know he's obviously thinking I haven't got long left. But no, I want to stay alive to watch the new Wildlife Centre open and do what it's designed to do. It'll be based around the sort of whole premise of IDOT, which is I do one thing. And to me, the biggest thing we're ever going to do in probably the next 5 lifetimes is build this new centre. And so that is our IDOT. It's a massive IDOT for us. IDOTs for you could be so much simpler. Look at the website, it's all there. We can get more people doing IDOTs. You know, if everybody in the UK did 1 IDOT a day, needn't cost them money, needn't take them a long time, that would be 23 billion actions a year, and it will help wildlife, it will help the planet. So that's what we're also going to push. So IDOT and the new centre are where we're going for 2021, and we'll be pushing like crazy. And as I say, if you know anyone who can help, that'd be absolutely amazing. We've got one volunteer who works here who does mingle, one could say, with some very wealthy people, influential people in the world. You have no idea how nice I've been to him this year, because just in the hope that he speaks to the right person. But I was a bit shattered today because he brought me in some Christmas goodies, which he didn't really need to do, and in it was a bottle, a 1982 bottle of Chateau Margaux. And when I looked up the price, I couldn't decide whether to drink it, burst out crying, or auction it for Wildlife Aid. Sadly, Wildlife Aid, it's not going to get auctioned. The empty bottle might do, but I'm going to drink that with this certain person. So to a certain person, thank you. All our volunteers have been amazing. Sven's been amazing. I would like to, we'll go into him a little bit more. I'd like to find out why he's followed us, what he's been doing. So if it doesn't work, just everybody start making comments and we'll cut the call off. But if it does work, it'd be really nice in 2021 to get the odd call from you out there so we can actually speak on the line. It's very difficult doing conversations like this because it's talking to sort of a little black triangle, a little black oblong, really. It's not like giving a real talk to real people. It's much more difficult to try to interact with you. We are here. I love doing talks. Fly me anywhere in the world, guys, and I will go. Sadly, because it's got to be videoed, I'm going to have to take Lawrie with me, which is a real pain in the bottom. So never mind. So yeah, questions, bring them on, guys. I'm going to let Lawrie speak for a minute because I'm probably going to try and dial Sven in to see what happens. If it is a disaster, just tell me and we'll cut him off. I can do that. I can cut people off. Just like Dennis, what is it? Dennis, Graham Norton.
That's not Dennis.
He pulls the lever and the person in the red chair disappears. So Sven, if I pull the lever, you're going to disappear. Lawrie, over to you.
Just a couple of comments from Oxfordshire Wildlife Rescue came in as well. It said, I've emailed you full details and Luke wants to speak to you at some point. So if you can email us, guys, just media@wildlifeaid.org.uk, we can get in touch with you as well. And yeah, hopefully we can help. A few people have been asking how COVID has affected us here at the centre. In terms of the animals, we've not seen it in any patients at all. It's still going entirely as normal. Everything is perfectly fine.
Sven,
obviously with volunteers and people...
I'm going to put you on the speaker any second now.
Okay. With volunteers and people, obviously people did have to be away, but luckily, as Simon was saying earlier, we ran perfectly fine. People pulled extra shifts all the time, and we have run without any interruption, so pretty well.
Right, here we go, Lawrie. I've got Sven, I think. Sven, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Good evening.
Good evening to Berlin from London. How are you, mate? Nice to meet you. Now, Sven has been he's a peculiar man. He is a peculiar man. He's been watching this stream really since its inception. He's given us, every single stream we've had, I think he's given us a considerable amount of money, so we're very grateful to him. I'm always nice to people who give me lots of money, but now we're going to find out why. Sven, why and how did you pick up Wildlife Aid?
I probably forgot, lost track of it, how much it actually is. You say thousands, but don't know. Well, I found you probably over YouTube. I'm not too sure anymore, but must probably be YouTube. It probably started that YouTube suggested me one of your videos one day, and yeah, then I picked up and I found it really amazing what you do. And since then, I have literally watched every single video, and sometimes YouTube comes up with a new video, or what YouTube thinks is supposed to be a new video, but then I watch it and I say, oh, you have already liked this video. Auto dislike? Maybe? No. Probably liked, and I must have seen it before, so there's nothing left. So, and since you started all the live streams, I probably have missed the first one, but €100 because I thought that's a good amount of money you can start with. But when I came to you and
you flew over to see us, didn't you?
You did.
Sven actually flew over to the UK in his plane just to come to the Wildlife Aid Open Day.
it wasn't my plane, but I will do this maybe one day.
Okay, well there you are. But you flew over there all by yourself. There you are, sitting in the car with me. You look actually nearly as mad as I do, which really worries me that you're as mad as I do. You should become one of our rescuers. Then we could get rid of Lawrie, Sven. We could be the Sven and Simon show, not the Lawrie and Simon show. How about that? How does that suit you?
You were a little bit cut off for a moment.
Okay, I spend my life being cut off. I was saying you could come over here and take over from Lawrie.
Oh, Jesus. Not sure that is gonna work out. I can maybe fly you somewhere where rescue is gonna take place, but not sure.
Well, if you get your own personal helicopter, I will be so close to you all the time. In my old days, in my moneyed days when I was in London, I used to love flying helicopters. It was the best thing ever. And if ever I win the lottery big time, yes, of course I would give a lot to charity. I would give a lot to Wildlife Aid to build this new centre. But I think sneaking in there somewhere would be doing much more flying of helicopters. I love them to bits. So Sven, if ever you get really wealthy, buy a helicopter and you can come over here and spend all your time over here.
But you were flying airplanes, weren't you?
I flew airplanes first, but I went on to helicopters and loved them to pieces, but they're so expensive. But the nice thing is, I get a bit scared. I was used to be flying around in Surrey, and I used to have people with me to start with when I was still learning. Then I passed my test and got all the stuff I had to get, and then I suddenly, one day it got a bit dark and a bit foggy. I didn't know where I was. I got totally lost. Luckily, the airport I used to use was Fair Oaks. And the great thing about Fair is it's quite near the Hogsback, which is a big major road that crosses across Surrey. So you just aim for anywhere, and when you see the Hogsback, you breathe a sigh of relief because you know you can find Fair Oaks. But no, a helicopter is much better because if you get panicked or worry, you can just bring it down anywhere you like. I could bring it down in the garden or anywhere nearby, and we could have it as a Wildlife Aid rescue helicopter. I think we might get a bit of flack for that. I think flying a helicopter to rescue a hedgehog is a bit of overkill. Not environmentally friendly, but you know, you've got to do these things sometime. So Sven, so apart from that, you followed us for a long time. What are your sort of feelings about what we do and why we do it, and why do you love it so much?
Oh, this is very deep.
Very deep. We're going deep now.
We do.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it's a good thing, but do you really want me to buy a helicopter or rather support Wildlife Aid? That's the problem.
That's a tricky one, Sven. I'll answer that when we're not live, because I would struggle with that one a little bit. No, it's got to be Support Wildlife Aid. Sadly, it's got to be to Support Wildlife Aid. But you know, a helicopter, a WAF wildlife ambulance would be wonderful, but I'm not sure it'd be very viable.
I'm always amazed. You were starting Wildlife Aid, don't knowing how much it's gonna get. How much patience you have in the center, and now you're one of the figures who really can't live. So you have your lifetime job, and you have no option of leaving.
No, I'm totally trapped. I'm trapped in it. I mean, when we started it, I had no idea what it was going to be. It was just a little hobby for me, really, and it started to get bigger, and just it grew organically over the years. I just wonder really if I thought about it now, if I knew how big it was going to get at that stage, whether I would have done it, because it takes all of you. You know, I work Wildlife Aid 24 hours a day, and that's literal. Not only are we up doing rescues if we need to, but when I go to bed, when I'm sitting in the evening, I think Wildlife Aid. I think what I can do to raise money. A lot of people ask me why, you know, what's the most important thing to me, and I always say it's money, because everybody gets really upset with me. It should be the wildlife. But the wildlife is a given. That's going to happen. But the more money we have, the more wildlife we can save. So everybody, people like Sven on board all the time, it's just absolutely staggering that, you know, you can give that sort of money. I'm going to start a new thing next year. I wasn't going to say this tonight, but I'm going to start the 365 Club. And I'm going to give you a very brief overview of this. I dreamt it up years ago and it never went anywhere because the people I contacted who I thought would do it didn't. But it costs us 2,000 quid a day to run Wildlife Aid. So if we could get 365 people giving us £2,000 a year, that would be the centre finance for the year. It's not going to work quite like that. We're going to refine it a bit more, but you know, if somebody over the year would give us, I think it's about £160 a month, which is not small to be honest, but a syndicate of people, maybe 5 or 6 people. Sven will do it single-handedly. Next year I have every confidence that Sven will run Wildlife Aid.
He's setting a precedent here
for the next 10 years. I mean, he's young. He hasn't got much more hair than me, which is a bit of a worry. But you know, I can buy him a wig. We can do this, Sven, together. I will buy you a wig.
So no holiday for you.
No holidays, all for you either. All for you, man.
What are you doing on Sylvester? Do you have any patients related to Sylvester of private firework?
Eh? I didn't get any of that. Lawrie, speak to me. What's Sven saying?
I'm not sure. Patients related to something, I think, but can you just repeat that, Sven? You might not be able to hear me.
Sven, so we didn't understand that last question. What related to what? Patients related to what?
I mean private fireworks.
Fireworks.
Pyrotech.
Yeah, fireworks. I mean, if everybody loves fireworks, they're beautiful. But you know, if you're going to have fireworks, A, buy silent ones, which you can get. But B, you know, the new laser type fireworks, the new lasers they fire are actually far more impressive. Wildlife hates fireworks. It's very dangerous for them. The noise, all the sort of distress it causes them. So fireworks we don't like. We don't like them. If they've got to be fireworks at all, please make them silent ones and put some nice music on. But fireworks are not a good thing.
Yeah. I'm also not buying any, and especially in Germany this year, it's forbidden to sell any fireworks. So there will be any because people will get around these rules, or still have some from last year, but fortunately there will be probably less this year in Germany.
That's amazing. I don't know whether we've got our New Year's Eve firework display this year. If we have, I should be really, really angry. I know some countries have cancelled it. I know Australia are letting theirs go ahead, which I think is quite sad. But, you know, fireworks, and you think, you know, I don't know what we spend on these firework displays. I'm told the figure for the UK one is something in the region of £10 million. I might be very wrong, so if anybody wants to correct me, they're welcome. But £10 million going up in smoke in about 10 minutes. You know, it could be put so much better use, especially in these COVID times when, you know, the NHS is really struggling, as they will do. I mean, if somebody said to me, if you're a retired doctor or a retired nurse, would you come back and help us with COVID? I'd be terrified, absolutely terrified. So to all the NHS workers tonight, you know, God bless you all, because without you we'd be in big trouble. I just wish they got more support, but we won't get too political tonight because that's very dangerous deep ground, Sven. When I get deep and political, put the phone down.
We avoid it.
Yeah, I have a riddle for you.
A riddle? My God, a German riddle. Oh God.
You probably know eagles, right? You do?
Go on. No eagles?
Yeah, we have also eagle in German language, but in what do you think that animal could be in English language?
I'm going to leave that to Lawrie because I have no idea. Lawrie, be brilliant, Lawrie. Be brilliant now.
I'm not 100% sure. Bear in mind, Sven can't hear me.
Sven can't hear Lawrie, but Laurie's now going to try to answer the question, Sven, because you've had to cut your sound off, otherwise you'd have audio lag everywhere. So, what's Lawrie going to say?
Can Sven just repeat it?
Sven, can you repeat the question for Lawrie?
We have an animal in German which is called an eagle.
Mm-hmm.
But what animal is this in English language? It's pronounced the same way.
Yeah. It's still an eagle. An eagle's an eagle is an eagle. Wherever it is in the world, it's an eagle.
No, it's a hedgehog.
Sven, I just want to know, Sven, how much alcohol you've had to drink tonight, because it's really worrying me that you think an eagle is a hedgehog.
No, hedgehog in German is pronounced Engel, I think, or
Engel,
something.
okay.
Engel.
Lawrie speaks a bit of German, Sven, so be very careful. But yeah, okay, that's your riddle. So yeah, I'm useless at riddles. I don't do riddles. Everybody says, you know, how do you plan next year? How do you plan the years going forward? I don't plan anything. Things happen and I react. That's the way my whole life works. I react to the situation as it is now, which is just like any rescue. I mean, we went out to rescue today, Lawrie and I. In fact, we went 3 rescues today. Now, anybody who knows me well, especially Lucy, will know that I hate the cold. So what did we get? 3 outside rescues today. The last one was a gull that was stuck in fishing line in the middle of a big lake up in Mitcham in London, and we had to go out to it, and it's taken me an hour and a half to thaw out from coming from that rescue. So Sven, there again.
He complained a lot.
I complain a lot, I do. Sven, ask me one more question, then we must let you go, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. You've been such an amazing follower of not only YouTube but of Wildlife Aid. We are so grateful, and to everybody who follows us, we're grateful as well. Ask me one more question and don't embarrass me.
Well, this will be very embarrassing for you. I've seen your video about the bloopers. Do you have any whistles of the... I have seen the whistles which you were using. How many do you have, and what animal did it represent for the whistle you use?
Oh, the whistle. I usually have one. I'm just looking for it now because I've usually got one sat on my desk. So I take it out if we need it, and I haven't. They're both in the cars. Basically, that is a duck caller. So it makes a noise like a duck. And if we go out on a rescue and we want to, if we've got a mother duck and ducklings and they've separated, if I make the right calls, the babies think it's the mother duck and they come towards it. And we've used it lots of times actually. Lawrie laughs every time I get it out. But some of the time it's sitting on my desk because I just grab it when I want to go out. Other times they're both sitting in our 2 rescue cars, so I can grab it very quickly. So it's purely for ducks. We have got one for deer, but I've never mastered that one. It's sitting on my desk somewhere in a box over there. So we just use that for ducks. But it is surprisingly effective. You can attract the mother duck's attention, which means the babies come out and you can reunite them. So that's my duck caller. Equally, if I'm very upset, I just scream it at Lawrie, because he will come to a good quack if you ask him.
We want to see this one day.
One day you can come over. You can even blow my duck whistle. There you are, Sven. There's a treat for you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Look, Sven, lovely to talk to you. Have a great New Year. I hope you had a good Christmas. Please stay with us. Any questions from anybody, bring them on now. Sven, you're a star, so claps from me and Lawrie for your amazing support. Thank you so much.
Just before you go.
Oh, Sven,
Simon,
before you go, hang on.
Simon, can you pass on a message to Sven, please?
I've got to pass on a message to you, Sven. Go on.
Alles Gutes und neuen Jahr.
Alles Gutes und neuen Jahr. That's Lawrie speaking to Sven. I've no idea. It could be very nasty, Sven.
No, that's German for best wishes for the new year.
Frohes neues Jahr.
Frohes neues Jahr. I speak 5 languages. I can't speak all of them. I speak English, Australian, English American, English Canadian, and anywhere that speaks English. We're very lazy English, but there again, Sven, as you will know, English is the language of the air. So what more can I say? Sven, you're a star, mate. Thanks so much for following us. Let's do more of this next year. If anybody else wants to be live next year with us, it'd be really fun to do it. If it's worked, let us know what you thought of that. If you don't like it, both Sven and I will have a little cry together. Sven, have a great New Year, mate. Be good. Lots of love from all at Wildlife Aid. Bye-bye. Sven has left the building.
I do think that Sven is now more famous in these live chats than you or I will ever be.
He probably is. He probably is. So anyway, that's quite interesting. Guys, if you like that, if you want to participate in that for 2021, just send us an email, send Lawrie an email. So it's media@wildlifeaid.org.uk. It would be really nice to take at least 1 live call a night. It's quite fun. We would love to do it. I'd much rather personally fly to your country and give you a talk, but that's a whole nother issue. Lawrie, how are we doing on questions?
We've had quite a lot actually that have come in. So Good Nice has asked, what is the worst mistake you've ever made on a rescue? Which is quite an interesting one.
Using Lawrie.
I knew it would be something
any doubt
around that.
It was going to be Lawrie, wasn't it? It had to be Lawrie. I don't think we've ever made it. Lawrie will probably remind me because I've got a memory like a sieve. I don't think I've ever made any disastrous mistakes. I never caused an animal to die. Very occasionally we don't get what we want to get. I mean, we went out to a duck this morning which has got a massive growth on the side of its face, and this will just show how unprepared Lawrie is, because he could flick up a still of that, and he's not going to do it because he hasn't got it, and he's sitting there
because the footage is still downloading. That's
okay,
why.
says any excuse. Lawrie makes any excuse.
Nothing
so
from
it's a
today.
duck with a
Anything
massive
from
growth,
previous days.
massive growth on the side of its face, and we got it quite close. But ducks aren't as mad as you, as daft as you think, because the minute you get a net out, even if it's 20 feet away to get a big pole and get the duck, they've gone. So we've actually got our loaf of bread for tomorrow morning ready to go out and try and catch this duck. It's eating, it's happy, it can fly, so at the moment it's not in distress, but it would be really nice to see if we could get that growth down. We think it's probably an abscess or something connected to that, and it would probably be fine, but we will keep trying. We don't give up, do we? Laurie's worse than I. Lawrie will not give up. He gets really angry. He gets really angry. He doesn't talk to me for days when we miss a rescue. But we normally get it eventually. In the end, we will get it.
It's very, very, very rare that we don't.
It is. Any questions, Lawrie?
So Byron has asked, do you think wildlife rescue would still be necessary even without humans? Accidents happen in the wild, and I think our presence on Earth isn't entirely negative.
That's a brave thing to say. It's not entirely negative. I don't think we've done the Earth any favours. I can't think of anything we've done to help wildlife or the environment or anything around us. So it might not be negative, but it's certainly not positive. Would wildlife need us if we weren't here? It would be, I mean, animals eat animals. You know, there's a food chain. I keep going on about this. Lawrie he gave me a T-shirt a while ago saying, so it was it I food chain.
There's a story behind that.
There's a story behind that which Lawrie could tell you, but we'll let you all go to sleep first. The food chain's vital. Animals of certain things eat other animals, and the food chain works up right to the top. Everybody's so intent on saving the iconic animals at the top of the chain, the tigers, the lions, the elephants, all these things. But actually, if all the food chain below it fell to pieces, they wouldn't be there, and neither would we. So have we had any positive effect on this planet? No, I think we've abused this planet appallingly, and I hope at last, with all these things that are going on now, we begin to understand that if we want to be here and we want to be here for the planet, we've got to do something about it. I mean, it's a case of we need the planet, obviously. The planet does not need us. That's as deep as I'm going to get on that one, Lawrie, because otherwise it could be a big philosophical debate. I can't even say that word this time of night.
Yeah, just answering some of the other points on there as well. I think you'd agree with me as well that probably 90 to 95% of the cases that we get in, be that cases in at the centre or rescues or anything like that, are directly or indirectly caused by man.
See, Lawrie,
the vast majority. That is a phrase that I've quoted from Simon.
Yeah, he says I trust it. I think it's over 95. I think it's nearly 99%, to be honest.
It's very, very rare. The exceptions, we will get a lot of badgers with sort of territorial fighting wounds on the rump and things like that.
That's not a lot, Lawrie.
But that's really not a lot. That's once in every couple of months rather than the sort of the cases, especially in the busy season when we're seeing sort of 80 patients a day.
I mean,
that pales into insignificance.
The last patient we went out today was this gull which was stuck in fishing line. And in fact, when we came back, not only was the gull stuck in the fishing line, and it took us ages to get it off. I've just been up at the hospital, literally we got all the rest of it off, and it was right around its neck, it was around its throat, it was around a wing, it went over its body. In fact, at one point I was pulling a bit of fishing line to see where it went on the right side of its body, and the left leg was doing that. I couldn't work out why my pulling on the right was affecting the left. It was everywhere, it was wrapped around it totally, and when we brought the boat back out of the water, because it's the only way we could do it, the prop was totally wrapped in fishing line. So there were meters and meters and meters of fishing line in the water. And in fact, as we drove back out from doing the gull, there was a dead magpie which was hanging from fishing line in a tree above the pond. You'll see this video at some point in the future. So it's mankind all the way. I mean, mankind has a lot to answer for, I'm afraid. We won't get any deeper than that at the moment. What was Simon's job before WildlifeAid? I've just seen that flash up in blue because there was a £2 donation. So thank you for Mirror the Scientist. I used to be a commodity broker, which I did for 23 years. If you want to know more about my life, there is a book which is the best cure for insomnia you'll ever get. Read one page of my autobiography and you will be asleep. It's called My Wildlife. It was written a while ago now. In fact, we ended up with 140,000 words and had to cut it back to 70. But I was a commodity broker, hated it for 23 years. But I believe your life's track is a purpose. I believe if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have saved up enough to do this. So I believe life takes you along a path that leads you to where you need to go. And so that's where I am now. I love what I do. I adore it. As Lawrie will tell you, I will whinge every single hour of every single day. And if somebody said you can't do it anymore, I'd kill them, because I will do it. Even when I'm in my coffin, I will be directing Lawrie on rescues. That's a promise. Go on, Lawrie, off you go.
I look forward to that. So Layla Mohammed has asked, my 7-year-old is a big fan. Hello, if you're watching. I would like to ask Simon how he got into animal rescues and what advice would he give to children about caring for animals?
That is again another deep one, and it's where's this question from? Which country are we coming from, Lawrie? Do we know which country?
I'm not sure. If you'd like to let us know in the comments on YouTube, I'll try and pass that on to Simon as soon as we do know.
Invite me to your country, pay for me to come out there, and I'll tell you all about it. I've always loved animals. I've always loved. I was an only child, so actually my sort of closest things I love were my dogs and my parents' dogs and whatever. So I just love animals, and I went farming for a year when I left school, thinking I was going to be a farmer. But then I got offered this job in London, which I took. And you know, although I didn't enjoy it, I didn't like it, it gave me enough to do what I do now. So it took me on my path. It took me onto the path where I was going to end up. So I went from a commodity broker in London to a complete raving lunatic who runs WildlifeAid. Simple as that.
So what advice would you give then to sort of young people who are looking to get into a similar industry?
Trouble is, in what we do with wildlife, there is no money in it. So you've either got to be very nice to your parents and hope they finance you for the rest of your life, or you've got to just do a job for passion. And I think passion in this world makes everything work. I think it's passion which drives me, without any doubt. You know, is it ego? Is it whatever? I was asked that question the other day. You know, you've got a big ego. I haven't. I've got a massive passion, and I think the two are very similar. But if you're driven by passion and you love animals and you love wildlife and you love this planet, try to go in that direction as best you can. If you can't do it for a job because there's nothing there, then do it as a hobby, because people say hobbies are more fun than jobs anyway, because a job is something you do to earn money. I'm very lucky that my job actually is my passion, so I work it fully, and by the time I die, Lawrie will take over and it'll all be fine. It will be fine.
Leila's just said she's from Birmingham.
But
actually,
Birmingham?
You could go up to Birmingham.
I don't want to go to Birmingham. Lawrie speaks a northern accent. Birmingham. I want to go to Birmingham.
I'm from the north, not Birmingham.
Well, still north.
I'm from Lancashire originally.
It's north of the River Thames. Anything north of the River Thames is northern, without any doubt.
But yeah, I'd certainly say in terms of getting into this industry, the whole of the wildlife rescue rehab industry relies on volunteers. And if you're interested in getting involved in what we do or other rescue centres do, take a look at helpwildlife.co.uk. Put in your postcode, you can find your local wildlife rescue centre and see if you can volunteer for them. Now, some of them, due to insurance reasons, obviously it's a bit dangerous, sort of animal handling, have age limits. So for us, unfortunately, that's 18 to volunteer here. But if you can volunteer at your local wildlife rescue, you can make a huge difference as well. Doesn't just need to be with us, doesn't need to necessarily be going out on rescues, the animal care side of things, the orphan feeding, receptionists, even just bringing animals from where they were found to the centre, all vitally important roles. And I'm sure that there would be a centre up in Birmingham that would desperately love some help, so I would highly recommend that one. That's how I got started.
And look where he's ended up. Just look at that face and think, this is how I could be. I mean, you wouldn't believe that Lawrie was only 18, would you? I mean, he looks about 96. He looks the same age as me.
I'm not 18. I'm not 18.
I know that. But I say I'm only 26, but look at my face. It belays the truth. So how are we doing? Any more questions there, Lawrie?
Quite a few, actually. So Rossi has asked, do you have branches of your organisation all over the country, or do you just go as far as you can to do rescues?
We have been asked occasionally to sort of franchise WildlifeAid, but running this place is a nightmare, to be honest. Somebody's just given us another €100. Thank you. Is that another 100 or is that Sven? No,
that's the Svens one at the top.
Yeah, that's just another one. Anyway, yeah, we could have franchised it, I suppose, but running a franchise like this would be a nightmare. I mean, if it's a franchise that makes money like Amazon, let's take Amazon. I mean, I'm sure Bezos, when he started Amazon, didn't think he was going to be as wealthy as he is, but you know, there's profit there, so he can keep getting bigger and bigger. When you run a charity, the one bad thing about it is, you know, you start with no money, and then you ask people for money all the time, so you actually every time you get successful, you lose more money because you're having to spend more money to care for the patients, to buy the drugs, whatever. It's a nightmare. I mean, we could have franchised Wildlife Aid, but I think I would have been dead by now if I had. It's a big thing to run. I love it, and as I get older I find it harder and harder to do it because obviously my brain's getting a lot slower. Lawrie, don't make one comment to that at all or you'll find.
I don't need to.
He doesn't, you see, he doesn't. No, so Wildlife Aid is just a one-off. It is a one-off, as am I, and people will be grateful for that in the long term.
Annika or Anika has asked, what is the secret to your brilliant work relationship, Simon and Lawrie? I think the secret is we never speak to each other outside of live streams and rescues. I'm not even going to ask what that is.
It's a bottle of, you see, this is how old I am. It's a bottle of Centrum, fortifies the over 45s. See, I need all that, Lawrie, now because I'm very old. There's lots of vitamins and stuff which probably don't do me any good at all, cost me a fortune. It's very difficult. I've said to many people lots of times, you get a lot of people asked to be rescuers here. Lawrie started and fell into his job really, and when we started,
we actually had someone ask how I started.
Yeah, well, we just, it's weird when you go out on a rescue with somebody, you probably know within about a minute whether they're going to be any good at it. And as much as they might be enthusiastic and want to do it and love to do it, they ain't never going to make it because they just sort of rush after things absolutely madly. When we did this 21st story fox rescue, when the other organisation had been up there, you know, they'd been up there, they didn't really know how to do it properly. They were chasing this fox around a roof 21 stories high, and one slip from that fox, when it went up on that side wall, one slip and it would have fallen to its very awful death. I mean, that fox you see there is 21 stories above the ground. If it had just gone off 1 inch more to the left, it would have died. So it's all about feel. So Lawrie and I went up there. They didn't think we could do it. They were quite disparaging about our expertise. Lawrie and I went up there very quietly, and he tells me, I don't remember this to be honest, but apparently it was 4 minutes from the time we got up there to the time we had the fox caught. The only thing that really saddens me about the entire rescue is the fact that old smiling joker over there is the one who caught it.
Can I just say, before we went live, we were having a conversation about this issue, the fact that I caught Simon's rescue and he caught my rescue. So the one that I'm referring to is the fox that was under the compactor.
Yeah.
So where I crawled down under this is sort of a rubbish compactor. I crawled down under that to hopefully try and get the fox, and it then darted out of a small side hole that we hadn't seen, and Mr. Smiley over there caught it in a grasper. So we were having a chat about how it's sort of tit for tat, really.
Lawrie always calls it luck, and to a degree, yes, it is luck, but it's also instinct, which is very important, and it's skill. So yes, it's luck that you put your net down and you get it, but it's not only instinct, but it's the skill of knowing what the animal's going to do next and what it's likely to do, and it's patience. It's not all about rushing after something like a complete mnemonic demon. It's just taking it very slowly. If the animal gets very stressed, back off a tiny bit if you can, and wait. I mean, we did a gosling rescue years ago, Egyptian geese, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, the one where the mother flew off and brought Dad back.
Now, it took us over an hour and a half to that rescue, and at one point, we obviously can't show it all on the videos, but it was 20 minutes getting those goslings and the mum and dad from about 8 feet away from the keep net into the keep net, and it was 1 step forward, got twitchy, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
And when you say steps, it's literally travelling this far.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest steps I can take at my age, Lawrie. My steps aren't very big anymore. But no, it's instinct, and you know very quickly whether somebody's got it. And to my luck, really, I suppose, if I'm being honest, Lawrie had it, and I know he had it. And I mean, he went out the other day to a duck, and you know, if I go for something, I know when I'm going to go. If Lawrie goes, he knows when he's going to go. But you'd never probably go at the same time together. But you just feel it, and it's when everything's sort of synchronised and you know you can go for the catch. And Lawrie went after a duck the other day, and I was actually at the back thinking, he's going to miss it. He's mucked it up. He's not going to do it. He's made a complete cock up of that. And within about 10 seconds later, he'd grabbed this duck, and I was sort of going, I wouldn't have done it like that. But it is, you go at your own time, but you feel, you know what you've got to do, you feel the rescue. I can't explain it. People have asked me to write books on how to catch wildlife. 99% of it is to do with instinct. And if that instinct's good, I mean, before Lawrie there was Sean. Sean's now very old and wrinkly too. That's
Lucy's husband.
Lucy's
in the chat at the moment.
He was a brilliant rescuer, and if he comes down here, I'm sure we'll rescue again together. But you know, he's getting as old as I am. I mean, he went up a tree to rescue, put some blue tits back in the nest the other day, and his thighs were ruined where he tried to crawl up the branch of this tree. And I laughed. I'm sorry, I just laughed because he's old like me. But never mind. So Sean, bless you, mate. Come and see us sometime. But you know, the new person take over from you and me is Mr. Braley. God help us all. That's all I can say to that.
Not going to comment.
Good.
There's been a few comments actually asking when we've been out to a rescue or done a surgery or anything like that, and we're really invested in a particular patient and it doesn't make it, how do you cope with that? The one that I sort of immediately springs to mind is that badger from the golf course. So we were called out to rescue a badger that had been hit by a car, and it took us an hour to find it. And then it had sort of dug itself under a tree, and it took Simon probably the best part of an hour, if not more, to gently coax it back from there, even just sort of gently grabbing it and pulling it, just being really sensitive, because a badger bite can do a lot of damage. The police even showed up and asked us why we were trespassing, a whole lot of things like that. But we got that back to the centre, and within 10 minutes, unfortunately, he passed on. And I distinctly remember that had quite a large emotional impact on you.
Lawrie says really it's because he saw my face. I actually think it's because he saw Laurie's face, and that actually is the answer to your question. You have to have a really basic lavatorial sense of humour, because you see so many horrible incidents when we go out on rescues. We've got pictures that I can't even show you, they're so bad. And you see that, and you've got to get rid of it. It's like doctors and nurses and vets, they'll all tell you that they have quite a lavatorial sense of humour, because you've got to get rid of that, because if you keep that in your head and let it build and build and build, you're going to get completely and utterly screwed. So, you know, we have a sense of humour to get rid of it. It upsets us at the time. I mean, I was talking just now about my thanks to Lawrie. I choked up. I get very emotional because I love what I do. It's passion, guys. It's passion that drives us forward all the time. I'm going again. Shut me up, Lawrie. Take me out of here. I've gone.
We'll answer actually a question. A few people have been asking how I got involved in Wildlife Aid, so we'll just let Simon recover for a minute. My partner was volunteering here whilst I was at university. I was at university in Southampton, and I came up very occasionally. The day I was free happened to be Friday. I'd come up on Friday. Her shift was Friday afternoons. So very luckily, Becky, who was the sort of office manager at the time, allowed me to come in on an ad hoc basis. I spent a few shifts in there and then met this man, which was one of the saddest days of my life. And once I graduated from uni, so I'm a marine biologist, I was trying to get several jobs in that field. It wasn't working, and then went down to the sort of wildlife filming side of things. I do a lot of wildlife photography sort of as a hobby. Was applying for jobs with the BBC, let him know that, and I believe the line was, "You're not working for the BBC, you're working for me." Offered me an internship. Didn't realise at the time quite how little I knew about filming and editing, but that was almost 5 years ago now.
And he still knows so little about videoing and editing. Still after 5 years. God help me, guys. No, I mean it is everything. You know, as I said on my path through life, it's everything just happens because it's meant to be. It's synchronicity. It's whatever you want to call it, but it does work. And Laurie's here now. How long he'll stay here, I've no idea. I've threatened him. If he ever tries to leave, I'm going to kill him. So he wouldn't get down to the end of the drive before I got my tranquilizer rifle out, and he felt a little prick in his bottom. And
I've fallen out of his ear. He can't hear me at all.
I can't hear you, Lawrie, now. Because I pulled my plug out. I
can
can't
say
hear
anything.
Lawrie. It's all a bit disastrous. I'm plugging myself back in. You can tell this is the last one of the year, can't you? Are you still there, Lawrie?
Yeah, you're now very loud.
Oh, thank heavens, we're back again. Lawrie and I are back together again. I didn't mean that biblically either.
Jeez.
And how did Laurie's mum get involved? There's a question there. By mistake again. Poor Laurie's mum. I think basically Laurie's mum...
Unfortunately, and I'm so sorry, Mum, I invited her.
Lawrie was terrified. I think Laurie's mum was terrified that I was going to get rid of Lawrie. So she thought she'd better be nice to me. And, you know, it's like everybody here. If I think they might be useful, I have these manacles ready-made. So as soon as somebody comes on board, I can clip it round their ankle and they'll never escape from us again. So... poor old Laurie's mum is stuck forever now.
There are a number of comments saying no one leaves WAF or you get tranquilised. That is worryingly accurate.
It's so true. It is so true, guys. It's fun. How are we doing? Are we doing all right? We've nearly gone an hour, Lawrie. We haven't had anything scheduled for this programme at all.
We haven't. Usually we have an A4 sheet saying roughly what we need to talk about. This one is completely freeform. I hope it's not quite as obvious as it sounds like it is.
Oh my God, somebody just said I thought Lawrie was your son. No, please God, no.
No, luckily for me, not.
Luckily for me, not. Who's the most lucky in this one?
No, 5 years ago, I did know, but 10 years ago, I didn't know who you were. Yeah, sometimes when I'm feeling down, I think back on that blessed time. That
blessed time. Just think, see, I have been your saviour, Lawrie, haven't I?
Oh God, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going
to...
I was looking to do a PhD before I started working here.
I should think of some suitable words for PhD. I shall work out the letters that make sense.
No, because then we will be off YouTube permanently.
So I'm looking at all sorts of questions running down here, so I'm looking away from the camera.
Aquatrax123, how bad does a swan hurt when it hits you?
Doesn't at all. Pathetic. Everybody who whinges that you could break your leg, actually probably a 1 in a million chance if your leg was at the wrong angle or your arm was at the wrong angle when it happened to catch you with its wing. Yes, it could hurt. Most animals are pussycats. As I say, an animal has 3 instincts. They're the 3 F's. And I have to be very careful. Lawrie always gets really scared when I say this. The first one is flee. The second one is freeze. And the third one is fight. And they will only fight if they're cornered and can't escape and you haven't let them escape. Then they'll have a go at you. So animals don't really hurt, you know, but you don't, if you're a good rescuer, you don't put yourself in a position where you could get hurt, you could get bitten. I've been bitten a few times. Nothing life-threatening, to be honest. Nor's Lawrie. He's had the odd nip here and there, mainly by me when I get really fed up with it. But yeah, if you're good at what you do and you've got to, when you do any rescue, you've got to basically become the mirror image of that animal. You've got to work out what you think it might do, what it's going to do in that situation, because there might be broken glass over there, there might be dangerous objects over there. You've got to take all that into your mind and work out what it's going to do. And I've been so lucky, to be honest. It's, as Lawrie said, if you like, it's luck. I've been so lucky to work out what's going to happen, how to work with an animal, and it all went back to my very first rescue, which of course is in my book, and you can read it if you buy the book from WildlifeAid. Look, see, still asking for money, Lawrie. Here we are asking for money.
Yeah, I always get worried when you talk about your 3 F's, because certainly at university I was taught the 4 F's, which is an animal's instinct in the hypothalamus, which is, and I'm quoting directly from a textbook here, fighting, fleeing, feeding, and mating.
Lawrie,
I'll leave that one to your imagination.
Lawrie, this is a clean family show, Lawrie.
Yeah, that's a genuine scientific thing.
Nasty thing. I mean, you're my mate, but let's not take that the wrong way. You are a mate, but not a mate, if you know what I mean.
Rossi has just asked you, what's the worst bite you've ever got?
The worst bite I ever got was actually from a young badger cub. And I can say this now because the vet involved isn't here anymore. But she supposedly had tranquilised it because sadly we were going to have to put it to sleep. and it wasn't tranquilized enough, and it started to move. So I went to grab it, and I grabbed it with one hand fine, but then that thumb was a bit close to its mouth and it bit it. And you stand there, it felt like 5 hours to me, because when something bites you like that, the more you try to prise it off or get it away, it's going to get worse. You just got to stand there very quietly, very patiently, thinking to yourself, this really does hurt, but I must not move. And that was the most painful. It took me a year to get the feeling back in the end of that thumb. It's still sometimes not quite right now, but that's probably the worst bite I've got. I've got bitten by other things and had the antler here and there. I mean, the most dangerous animal I ever worked with was probably Lucy Kells. And,
oh, you're going to pay for that.
So yeah, I just thought I'd get that in there. I just thought it'd be fun. And I'm getting all sorts. Everybody's being commiserative with Sean for hurting his legs going up that tree. I have no sympathy at all, Sean. So, you know, you've either got it, man, or you haven't. And you and I, sadly, have nearly lost it in more ways than one.
So, Bill has asked, would you ever use maggot therapy on a bad wound in an animal?
We never have. They're normally in there by their own volition, these maggots. They do a good job. I mean, I've known, you know, it's like leeches and maggots, all these sort of things. To a degree, they do a good thing if they're controlled. We never have done. We never would do. Often we get animals in which have had maggots in the wound, so they've done a good job. Basically, they've stopped the wound going necrotic. They've kept the flesh that they're eating into viable, and you can close the wound up again. So we've never actually used it per se, but actually it's used before it gets to us, so it's sort of happened by chance on the way up through the rescue. That's all I can say to that. Lawrie,
Lucy has reacted with a shocked face to your comment. So
a shocked face?
Yeah, I imagine that will come back to bite you quite quickly.
Is that Lucy's shocked face? Look, somebody's ringing from Singapore. I've always wanted to go to Singapore. Nigel, welcome from Singapore. Thank you for following us. You must be mad like the rest of us. But yeah, Singapore is one of the places I've always wanted to go.
Lucy, the most aggressive animal I've ever met was Simon.
Gee, I'm a pussycat.
We've started a war.
I am a pussycat. She'll lose, Lawrie. She will lose. Promise you.
I'm not getting involved in this. I'm not getting involved in this. A few people have asked, why aren't we on TV anymore?
It's another long story, really. Cutting a long story very short, we did this series for I think it was about 16 years. It was getting a bit staid, it was getting a bit quiet. They were asking us to do more absurd things. They didn't want to show any deaths on the show. They only wanted to show live things on the show. And I always want, when we do any of our rescues, I try to show the truth. So if 30% of our animals die on, you know, not on a rescue, but when they come in, I like to show that, because I want to show reality. I don't want to lie to anyone. It's not all roses here. You know, we do lose over 30% of our patients when they come in, and it got tired. It's actually quite hard. You might think not, but I mean, considering we were the production company that ran that series, so not only was I doing the work I do, we were having to do things and film things, and we were having to overlook that. I had a cameraman at that time, Jim Inkleton, who's now a horribly famous director.
He has a Grayson Award.
I still try to. I still think he owes me 10% of his salary for the rest of his life, because if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be doing what he does now. But I mean, he's brilliant. We had a great filming crew. We had Phil, we had Jim, we had Jason, and other cameraman people along the way. And then
some of which have actually been on one of these live streams in previous times. So if you want to go and have a look for that one.
Sadly, we ended up with Lawrie. I can say no more on that.
Bit of a downgrade.
Bit of a downgrade on that one. But no, I mean, it's a great life. It is a fun life. We've had a good time, and it's the path leads you to where you need to be. So we are here where we are today, and we embrace 2021, which is coming up before us, and we will keep going. We will be here forever and ever and ever. And everybody at Wildlife Aid is just really grimaced because they think I might be here for an ever and ever. Sorry guys, you're not going to get rid of me that easily.
So we just need to go back over some of the super chats that you guys have been very, very generously donating over on YouTube during the past hour. So Rebecca Rabbit 32 donated £4.50 actually before we even went live, so thank you very much to you. FXP1688, otherwise known as Sven, who you've all heard earlier, he donated €100. Again, incredible. Thank you so much, Sven, and best wishes for New Year and all of that lot. Rossi G12 has donated $24.99 in US dollars and has put, "You guys are beautiful. Thank you so much for what you do." That's very kind of you. Thank you very much for your support. We say this every live stream. We're not government funded. We are a charity. Everything we do is entirely off our own backs, and we can only survive thanks to the generosity of people like you. So thank you very, very much.
I just noticed, Lawrie, I noticed that we haven't had any donation from Adam today. I mean,
we have. I'm getting to it.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Adam.
There's 2 more to go first. So, Thomas Dalton has donated £5 and has put, "I recently watched a video from 3 years ago with a one-eyed owl. You ringed it in the hope of finding out how well it did. Did you ever hear anything?"
No, we didn't.
You probably don't remember that.
But I don't remember that particular one. But I mean, we speak. Obviously, one-eyed owls were always a worry to us. We spoke at length with the Hawk Conservancy, who do a lot of releases. They do release one-eyed things, and they let things go, and they monitor it, and they have far more resources to actually track what happens when these animals go back to the wild. And we have learnt that one-eyed owls do make it quite successfully in the wild. So that's why we release one-eyed owls. We don't hear anything back. It's the trouble, if you ring these animals, the chances of getting anything back on it, I think in all our 40 years, we've had about 3 instances where something's been ringed and we've found out what's happened to it. So, I mean, I don't personally like ringing very much because I think it's just another thing the animal has to bear. So, you know, all you can do is give an animal a second chance, and that's what we do. And if that second chance works, great. If it doesn't, we've really tried our best, guys. That's all we can do.
So, Miss Ninja Child donated £10. Has put, "I will try to stay on as long as I can, but I have an online date tonight. Hope it goes well. So just wanted to wish you a happy new year and well done during this pandemic, and see you in the new year." Thank you very much, and best wishes for 2021 for you as well.
Well, I think Lawrie and I always have a row now because, you see, we've done our hour. I want to wind it up, and Lawrie always gives me a very hard time because he thinks we wound it up too soon. I always like to leave people wanting more. Lawrie wants to make them fall asleep. If you want to fall asleep, just read my book. Just read my book and you'll fall asleep. So, Lawrie, I think we should wrap it up. I'm going to let you, for once in my life, have the last word, which cannot last for more than 60 seconds. And the clock is ticking now.
Hang on, before we do that, I'm just going to make sure we go through the thank yous of all of the people who have donated.
That's 10 seconds of your 60.
Adam Warner's donated £9.99 and has put, "Happy Christmas, guys. Hope you both had a great day. The same to you. You may have noticed Abby isn't here today. Abby's actually taking some well-deserved time off, so I hope you're both doing well on that one." Anthony donated £4.99 with, "Simon, you have your last Rolo. Lawrie, Alice and Maru are stood next to you. Who gets the last Rolo?"
Me.
He has an incredibly sweet tooth, so that would
Very
be
true.
100% accurate.
Yeah.
Sabrina has donated £3, but "Thank you for all you do. Love this channel." That is fantastic to hear. Thank you very, very much.
Lawrie, you've got
anything and
Lawrie,
everything.
15 seconds left. Make the most of it.
$1.99 in US dollars. Bear in mind, I have the save when this goes because I have the button. He doesn't. It's always fun. Ferran T has donated $5 US. Has put, "How did flying aeroplanes and helicopters merge with your fear of heights?"
I didn't have a fear of heights at that age. I was fine. I still wouldn't have a fear of heights now. If I was in a helicopter or plane, I'd be fine. It's when I'm up the top of a building or doing anything, looking down a long way. Not happy about that, guys. Even going up a ladder.
So just going through the last couple. So Pixel Pirate donated £10, but "Happy New Year to WAF. Here's to many more successful rescues." Thank you very much. Swan Life, £9.99. Thank you very much. Jasenka has donated 200 Danish kroner. Thank you. Myra Kinghorn, who is one of our volunteers, a much loved volunteer, has donated £20. You'll get
what am I going to do with her? We've got these funny old ladies who support us, and one funny old lady is Myra. We've got a funny old lady as well who I'm not allowed to mention, but I know she's watching tonight. She wanted a smile, and I told her I was so tired she wouldn't get one. But I've tried a few times tonight. I think it might have been wind, but I think it was a smile. Lawrie, you've got 5 seconds left. Go for it. Close 2020 with a bang.
So there is a whole load of more donations that have come in. Actually, I'm struggling to keep up with them. There are loads of them. So thank you so much to every single person who has supported us, donated, done everything during this live stream. Thank you all, of course, for your questions. And I guess the one thing left to say is thank you. Thank you all so much for your support, whether it's watching the videos, donating to us on the live stream, watching the live stream. We can only do it thanks to you. So I think you'll join me, Simon, in saying we hope you've had a fantastic Christmas. We wish you all the best for 2021, and we will see you guys in the new year.
Love you lots. Thank you all so much, and it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him.